Hello, and today we're going to be looking at a scenario where civilization starts over. Let's get into it. This is season 2, episode 13 of the series, and we can get right into it. So we're going to start today, and we're going to be starting with this mess. Yeah. Oh, by the way, with this thing, I kind of changed the color of it to match with a more historical color over here. And let's get alliances on real quick. Yeah. Going over here, we can see that this new rebellion is going to quickly be able to go ahead and take more territory, as they are going to be able to push towards the Mesopotamian capital and get very close to taking it. But if I can find the power rankings, I think they're here. Mesopotamia is the strongest country in the world, so they aren't just going to fall this easily to a rebellion, to one singular rebellion. So Mesopotamia is going to start pushing back, and have a pretty good offensive and take this major city, and eventually would take this one and start a push towards the sort of semi-capital of this, which is right here. The Mesopotamians will start another front line down south, eventually taking two of these major cities here. And also Egyptian forces will start to invade over here as they take this major city, and the rebellion is being pushed back a lot. But the rebellion is having a lot of successes over here in the north as they take over this major city in Cyprus, and they will be able to go ahead and get close to taking the capital of this nation here. It's interesting, I'd say. Yeah. What should we do? Let's go to the Ukrainian front. As we can see that the Ukrainians are starting to get pushed back by this blue country, and the blue country and the Russians will make a giant encirclement of many Ukrainian troops, and the Ukrainian troops are just going to flee out of this area, and eventually this happens. And Ukraine has lost a whole bunch of their troops because of this. And the green team will even start to push back against the Ukrainians, as the Caucasians will also start to push back, with the Ukrainians losing a bunch of troops. And the Russians are just going to start going down this river over here. As I said, a huge fleet of troops down here, hoping to get down to the coastline. And then because of this, Ukraine is going to send a whole bunch of troops back from up north up to here in order to defend. And also against this, as the Russians will be taking two major cities by going down this river. And the Russians just kind of go along the rivers, taking basically all their northern major cities, eventually circling and taking this area. And well, it's not going very well for Ukraine, especially down south, as the Caucasians will start pushing back a lot with help from the green team, hoping to knock out Ukraine. And well, it's just going a lot worse than expected for Ukraine, especially since they're pretty powerful. But Ukraine is still pretty powerful, so they are going to be able to continue their pushback over in the Romanian country and take this major city, which pushback will be successful. And even a sort of rebellion pops up over here in the Ukrainian country, and this one is hoping to be an oligarchist country, but the red team is going to be able to push back even more and eventually take the rest of the Romanian country. But what they can't really defend against right now is the impending Yugoslav force, as it starts to continue to push back a lot more. Going over to the green team, we can see that they will be pushing back more. Eventually, they will be able to take this capital city over here, and eventually will be able to force this nation into surrender, like this, yeah. And the green team can now set all their forces up to Ukraine to focus on that. But well, things obviously just can't go well for certain nations. The Diamond Alliance is being kind of destroyed right now, as this nation kind of got defeated, and so did this one, but this one's still around with Russia, and lots of things are going on, basically. But the green team isn't really liked by many nations around them, but they are just going to hope that they can knock out the Ukrainians, because if we go to technology, that's not technology. This is technology, but maybe not technology, stability. The green team is at a... Let me turn this off. The green team is at a pretty low stability, actually, as they are sort of like in the orange, which is pretty bad. It's set. Yeah. Going over here, we can see that the United Armies of France, if I can get over here, will be continuing to push back as this major city is captured. And the other French nations will start to move in as well. Eventually, this major city, in these countries, all the French countries will start to move in, but the yellow team's going to push back. But depending forces do happen, and while the yellow team is currently one of the most unstable countries in the world with red on the stability, which is pretty bad, but that red is now becoming a different color, which is the dark red, as a rebellion pops up. This old country here, which I'll just use this color to represent it for now, will be rebelling away from the yellow team, like this. And then the next nation to break away is going to be the Slovenian country, as they don't really like the yellow team and have never really been in support of them, especially ever since they got taken over. And the yellow team is starting to lose a lot of territory, as this country wants to get revenge for the yellow team and what they have done to them. What's going to happen is the Baltic country is going to push down, and a new rebellion, which I'm going to represent with orange, is going to pop up, and the yellow team is being drastically defeated as their capital is almost taken. And well, the Yugoslavs push up and eventually take more territory as Slovenia continues to push in, and Slovenia captures the capital of the yellow team. And after this, the occupation zones will be looking something like this, and the yellow team has fallen, the yellow team has surrendered, the yellow team is out of the war. All who's left is the Iberian nations. Let's go to Iberia real quick, speaking of that. As we can see, the Iberians make a landing over here in the Italian peninsula. As well, the gold team has gotten really weak, and they are about to get even weaker. As well as a different rebellion that I'll represent with this color here is going to be breaking away down south. As the gold team is in collapse as well, let me go to the stability. As the gold team stability even goes down to red, which red is sorta like a unstable color, but during times of war, red just means like super unstable, like collapsing mode unstable. But if you're not in a war, then red just means you're super close to collapsing. Yeah. And because of this, all the forces will be coming in, pushing back against these nations. And well, the gold team is going to be going ahead and just surrendering over to these nations, as the gold country is going to be officially put out of history, or maybe. As well, these Iberian nations will leave the war, and so will the French nations over here. So basically, the entire Mediterranean war has just gotten rid of the entire Western Mediterranean, and the war has been situated all the way over here in just Eastern Europe. Yeah. We gotta go back to the Ukrainian front, as Ukraine is still a very strong nation, and they were able to push back against these areas. Eventually, we'll be able to retake a few major cities and continue to push back against these front lines over here. Think I might want to use a different color for this. I think I'll use this color, just don't really want to use that blue color for some reason. Yeah. But the Caucasians will be continuing to push up, eventually getting the closest any nation in history other than Ukraine has been to the Ukrainian capital. So the Ukrainians will be sending some troops down south in order to fight against the Caucasians, and they will have a very successful counteroffensive. But because of this, the Russians will be able to retake these major cities that the Ukrainians recently gained back, which is really bad, as the Russians will just be mainly focusing on attempting to get down here through the coast. That's pretty important. If you can get to the coast, you're splitting Ukraine in half, which that will be pretty useful in the future. Yeah. Going over to Mesopotamia, we can see that the new rebellion is going to actually be able to push back against Egypt. And Egypt is having instability of their own, trying to occupy these regions. But once the rebellion over here eventually gets to the capital region, the Egyptians are going to make a deal with the rebellion. It's like, hey, the rebellion, if they gain their independence, is going to get money end deal for the Egyptians leaving the war. So, the Egyptians leave the Circle Alliance, and well, that is bad for the Mesopotamians. And Mesopotamia, seeing this, is going to rapidly send a whole bunch of their troops over into the Egyptian area, hoping to get rid of Egypt for their betrayal, which they will eventually take the capital of Egypt after a few weeks, and Egypt is getting close to falling. But then, according to Mesopotamian peoples, this is the final straw. The people have had enough with Mesopotamia and their rule. The people are revolting even more. Down here, down south, a giant Arabian rebellion happens over here in Mesopotamia. And down here, the Arabians will be just pushing back, eventually hoping to knock out Mesopotamia and gain their sovereignty, separate from the Mesopotamians. And then the next rebellion happens, as the Green Rebellion happens over here in the Persian area. And this Green Rebellion will be able to occupy almost all of Persia. Also, another rebellion up here, the Caspian Sea Rebellion happens. And well, the Mesopotamians have just had enough, and more countries are going to start supporting the fall of Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia has a lot of influence, and India is rapidly sending troops over here, hoping to not have Mesopotamia fall. If we do look at the religion map, we can see that Mesopotamia's religion is green, and this is lime green. So Mesopotamia has put a lot of influence on all of Asia, so it would be a pretty large thing if all of that just went poof, gone. Yeah. Going over to Ukraine, we can see Ukraine start to push a giant fleet of forces over here into this nation, as the Caucasians is basically the Ukrainians' main goal, as they eventually go ahead and start to fight back against the Green team, and the Caucasians will fall, as the Ukrainians start to push back against the Green team and get close to their capital. Yeah. Going over here, we can see that the Red Greeks will be declaring war on Ukraine, as the Ukrainians didn't expect this, and the Ukrainians would just be completely destroyed in this Romanian area, as the Romanian occupation zones will be falling. Ukraine is not in a very good state right now, just saying. Yeah. But, who knows? What, should we do anything? Should we just stay in the war? Yeah. Going back over here, we can see Mesopotamian forces going ahead and fleeing out of Egypt, and they will fully flee out of Egypt, as the Mesopotamian forces will just be gone, as this major city is taken. I think I could turn off alliance layers now. Yeah. But then, more nations will start to leave Mesopotamia's alliance. As the Circle Alliance collapses, this nation leaves in order to get their sovereignty. But why do they leave? Because this happens, major city, capital, taken. And well, this is really bad, but they will be surrendering in order to keep their sovereignty. And so will this new country here, as they will also be leaving the war. But this country is kind of not really liked, so they will be just pushing back. The new rebellion will just be going into them anyways, as they don't really like them, and they want to, quote-unquote, bring back the Orange Team's empire. And speaking of the Orange Team, the Orange Team is back. The Orange Team rebels again, and this nation falls. It's not the war, it's everybody against Ukraine and Mesopotamia. So we can see that the Caucasian Rebellion is going to continue to greatly push back over here, eventually taking this major city. And they will eventually go ahead and work their way down the Persian areas, eventually reaching this major city close to the capital of Mesopotamia in Baghdad. At least I'm pretty sure that's where Baghdad is. And this nation will even start their own independence movement in order to take and not be landlocked, basically. So basically this happens and Mesopotamia starts to lose more, as the Persian rebellion will be taking two major cities, and well, there's a pretty large division in the Persian region between the Caspian country and the Green Persian country, as This is the division, and Mesopotamia is pushed back to here. Going over here, we can see that the Arabian Rebellion pushes back. Going over here, we can see the Russians, with the Ukrainians being distracted down here, start to slam into the Ukrainian front lines. As well, the Russians are absolutely dominating against Ukraine, taking 1 major city, 2 major city, 3 major city, 4 major city, and 5 major city. Yeah, and they're getting close to 6 major city, oh my, the 7th major, 8th major city, yeah. As well, the Russians are absolutely slamming into Ukraine, as Ukraine is going to be forced to let their troops back. And this is it. Caucasia is going to rebel back away, as all these regions, which aren't even native to Caucasia, are going to rebel away from Ukraine. And then the next rebellion happens, as this new thing is going to pop up over here, wanting to be independent from the Ukrainians. As the Blue Country will also be pushing back, and well, so will this country, as they will be going ahead and pushing back against Ukraine. The Russians will be the ones to do like the final blows of Ukraine, as Crimea is like the final region left for Ukraine, and Ukrainians' capital is taken, and this major city, and Ukraine surrenders. And Ukraine is out of the war, just Mesopotamia, and Greece. We'll mention that later. But Mesopotamia is going to be absolutely destroyed by all the rebellions around them. The people have had enough with the Mesopotamian regime and want to defeat it once and for all. The Mesopotamian regime is gone, and well, people are starting to surrender, the military is starting to surrender, and Mesopotamia is pushed back just to the capital city region. As eventually the Syrian rebellion will be going ahead and taking the capital city of Mesopotamia, officially defeating Mesopotamia. But there is one more nation left in the war, Greece. It feels like everybody has won by now. Feels like. India hasn't, but India just left the war as they know they can't fight against all this, and they don't really want to. Because they're kind of getting unstable because of the war. Yeah. But going to Greece, we can see the blue team rebel away from Greece. The blue team wants to be sovereign again. And so will the Romanian nation, as they also want to be sovereign. But can they really? They just got beaten back by the giant rebellion up north. But the Greeks will be able to be absolutely destroyed, as these rebellions completely destroy the eastern part, and Egypt will even start the invasion of Athens, as the Athenian capital will be taken and quote-unquote liberated, despite them being against them. And well, basically, Greece is gone at this point, and the Athenian rebellion happens, and well, it captures all of these regions here, like this. And well, Greece is just left looking like this, as the Yugoslavs will be going ahead and taking this area, and whoop, eventually another rebellion will pop up, or a few, as well. The Greek capital will be captured by the new rebellion, and that will officially end this war. This has been the largest war in history, and let's look at the peace treaty of the Yugoslav Independence War, also known as the Mediterranean War or the Eastern War. This is the peace treaty of the war. So, there's a lot to go through here. Let's start, why don't we start down in Africa, where we can see that both of these African nations, the Gold Team's colony and the Athenian colony, gained their independence, but also the Egyptians got some land. Yeah. Let's go over to up here. We can see that the Germans got their independence, and so did the Baltic nation got some provinces over here. Like this. Yeah. Over here, this nation got all of its historic land back, plus some more land over here, and also a few provinces down here. And also, this nation gained some land, and so did the Red Nation here. Slovenia going over here did lose a province right here, but they did gain many provinces over here, which was definitely a worthwhile trade. The gold team, the remainder of it, was split in half, with the northern and southern Italian republics. This is the northern Italian Republic, and this is the southern Italian Republic, and the Iberian nation colonized these islands. Yeah. Let's go over to the yellow team now. As we can see, this nation got spat out and gained its independence, and so did this nation became independent again. And the yellow team is just one major city, and that major city is its capital. Big thing, Yugoslavia gained its independence and got some land from the yellow team and Greece. The blue team got bigger, getting land from Romania and Greece. The new Romanian nation gained its independence. There's actually a lot of blue over here. But the Romanians do still exist. Yeah. But because of the rebellion, they didn't gain any land here. Yeah. Let's go down to Greece. As you can see, Athens actually got some land over here, but they did have to give up this island and their colony for it, so was it a worthwhile trade? Maybe. But this purple nation over here gained its independence, and so did this yellow nation. Well, really, they were just kind of spat out just so, Greece couldn't become a major power again. Oh, I guess these are Orange Team Islands now. Speaking of the Orange Team, after I color these islands, the Orange Team is back. And it gained a whole bunch of the previous land from the Red Team, and I think it looked something like this. Yeah. So basically the Red Team's area looked like this, and the Orange Team got some land from the previous Cyan Team, which got fully annexed by the Green Team except for the Orange Team areas down here. The rest of the Red Team's colonies, so these provinces, got annexed by this country. And, let's go up to Ukraine. As the blue country over here got a whole bunch of land over here, this nation gained its independence, and the Caucasian country got a bunch of land here. And Russia got all of this land, which is a large amount of land, and Ukraine is pushed back to just this. Yeah. Let's go down here now, as this giant thing gained its independence. But let's note that they put their capital up here. Yeah, they basically have their capital region right here, all the rest of their countries here, so who knows how well that can go. The rebellion gained its independence, and so did another area that just kind of got spat out. The Iranians gained their independence, like this, and so did these guys here. And this Central Asian thing over here gained its independence, and this country lost some land to the rebellion. But in compensation, this country here gained more land here. Yeah. And that's basically all for Mesopotamia. And, should we go to alliances? I think we should go to alliances. Yeah. Let's turn off provinces. And this is basically the map without the provinces, but alliances. The triangle, the circle and star alliances were both kind of dissolved. And so was the Ukrainian Square Economic Alliance. But still, this sort of the Diamond Alliance still exists. Just not this. But also, the triangle thing still exists. Yeah. And, that's gonna do it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed today's scenario where civilization started over. See you in the next episode where we see the world after the Great Mediterranean War, or the Eastern War, or the Yugoslavian Independence War, and will be the start of a new era. Bye!